So once again, man, the ops has taken it too far, yo. One of King Von's ops showed up at his grave site to disrespect him in the grave.
5 years later, and Van's ops still cannot leave him alone. Gangster Disciples members were caught on camera vandalizing his grave. Lil Durk saw it, and he is not letting the disrespect slide.
When I catch you, I'm knocking you the f*** out. You already know that's happening.
His response is going to make sure this war never sees an ending. Let me break it down. The grave. King Von, born Devin Coyne Bennett, got shot and killed on November 6, 2020 outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia. He was 26. The one who pulled the trigger was Timothy Lou Tim Leaks, a member of Quando Rondo's crew, and prosecutors eventually ruled the whole thing justifiable self-defense under Georgia law. Every charge against Leaks got dropped in August 2023. Nobody else ever got charged. The case is closed. The streets didn't close with it. Van got buried at Burr Oak Cemetery in Alipe, Illinois, a historic black-owned cemetery sitting on Chicago's south side. Same grounds where EMTT Till and My Till Mobley rest. Before the dirt even fully settled on that grave, the site became two things at the same time. A pilgrimage spot for fans who genuinely loved the man and a target for ops who saw an opportunity they couldn't pass up. Shortly after Von's November 2020 burial, unnamed ops, widely pointed to in drill community accounts as members of the 051 Young Money set, tracked the gravesite down and allegedly tried to dig the man up, not spray paint anything, not step on the marker, actually dig him up. That attempt failed. The family moved with a quickness. 2 layers of concrete were reportedly poured around the casket. The actual remains were possibly relocated or resecured at a separate unmarked spot. And a public headstone at Burr Oak stayed up for fans and tributes. What the drill community now calls the 2 graves setup. One visible headstone that's basically a decoy. One fortified real burial site became the dominant story circulating on every platform consistent enough over years that it has the ring of something that actually happened. The concrete held. The ops didn't stop pulling up. In December 2022 or January 2023, a Chicago female rapper and certified 05-1 affiliate, going by AA Bankrolls, Pretty AA or Aina Money, depending on where you found her, posted footage of herself standing directly on top of Van's grave marker at Burr Oak. The clip went crazy viral on TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit's Chiraqology. Bandman Co hopped on camera and told her point blank they were going to find her. FBG Duck's mother pulled up in a counter video holding Duck's ashes. F affiliates went off. Durk never said a thing. In mid-June 2025, 051 Kiddo, a Chicago rapper who had served roughly 10 years in prison and once shared a cell with Vaughn himself in Cook County Jail, pulled up to Burr Oak, stood over Van's grave, dissed on camera, and by his own admission did more than just snap pictures. Multiple sources in the community described what happened as urinating on or near the grave. Kiddo confirmed enough of it in follow-up content to make the reports land as credible. He framed it as payback for years of F-disc records and stood on it publicly. The fact that Vaughn reportedly had Kiddo's back in a fight inside Cook County made the whole move hit different. This wasn't some random op. This was somebody Vaughn had gone to bat for coming to piss on his grave years after the fact.
So once again, man, the ops has taken it too far, yo. One of King Von's ops showed up at his grave site to disrespect him in the grave.
That reaction came from a commentary channel covering the story in real time. Not from Durk, not from F, but it captured exactly what the community was already saying.
Yo, we gotta stop this. This is insane. Like, come on, bro. Let that man rest in peace, bro.
F and O Block affiliates went to Burr Oak and cleaned the site. Cam Capone news panels with Tay Capone and 600 Triga called the move lame, cowardly, and clout-chasing at its worst. CTV's coverage generated thousands of comments in hours. Durk, at that point already locked up in federal custody, said nothing. That is where the picture sits. A man gets killed in Atlanta, gets buried outside Chicago, and his ops find a spot within weeks of him being lowered in the ground. 5 years later, they're still making the trip. To really understand why Durk's silence is the actual response here and what it cost him to maintain it, you have to go back to what Vaughn was to Durk in the first place. Because this is not just a story about beef and disrespect. It starts with 2 people from the same block who called each other brothers before either of them had a single record deal. The brotherhood. Before King Von had a billboard placement, before Crazy Story was blowing up on YouTube, before his name was showing up on platinum plaques, Devin Bennett was a 23-year-old walking out of Cook County Jail in December 2017 with a street reputation, a GED he had earned behind bars, and somewhere between 50 and 80 sheets of handwritten rap lyrics. He had filled over 3.5 years, sitting in pre-trial detention on a first-degree murder charge. He got acquitted in December 2017 after a key witness flipped their story and took back their testimony. No conviction, no career, no plan B. Lil Durk changed all of that. And the bond that made that possible went way deeper than the industry.
King Von talks about how he met Lil Durk.
Now, when it comes to Lil Durk, are you biologically related to him?
That's Van getting asked the question. Watch how fast the answer comes.
That's my brother. Like, we ain't got the same mother and same father, though, but that's my...
Not his CEO, not his plug in the industry, his brother. And that's not industry talk or promo language. Van chose that word every single time he was asked about Durk in every interview without hesitation. That framing is the lens that everything else in this story runs through. Durk and Von came up in the same extended Black Disciples affiliated orbit. Both tied to the O-Block streets at Parkway Gardens on Chicago's South Side. A world where the line between riding with your crew and riding for your life is paper thin. That connection locked in hard during the years Von was sitting in Cook County. Durk, who had already built a name in Chicago drill by that point, kept it solid the whole time. Phone calls, resources, material support through the entire bid. He didn't ghost when the case dragged on. The moment Von touched down after his release, Durk flew him to Atlanta almost immediately. In his March 2020 No Jumper interview, Von described what it felt like when a 2019 court case they both caught forced them legally apart when the judge put a no-contact condition on both of them as co-defendants, and suddenly the bond that Durk had built with him turned into a liability on paper.
Yeah, it's ugly.
Is that strange, like, just to have the court basically just saying you can't be cool with one of your best friends?
Von's answer tells you exactly how much Durk had been doing for him before any of that legal interference kicked in.
Yeah, because you know it's like, I started this shit off with him. Like, he started it up for me and everything, like, how people get to notice me.
The court hadn't just separated two homies. It had cut Von off from the only platform he had in the rap game. Everything Von had built in those early months, every co-sign, every feature, every show had come through being in Durk's orbit.
He bringing me to his interviews and pulling up a chair right here and letting me sit right there.
But all that stuff is out for right now, which is unfortunate.
The business arrangement Durk structured for Von is one of the realest moves in the history of Chicago drill from a label perspective. Multiple F affiliates confirmed that Von reportedly never signed a formal contract. He laughed and slid it back across the table, said he was already family, didn't need paperwork to make it official. And Durk, instead of pressing him to sign, reportedly gave Von 100% of his music earnings. Zero label cut, full ownership. Van had never rapped professionally a day in his life before walking out of that jail. What he had was a natural gift for storytelling, so raw and specific that Durk recognized it before the rest of the world did. He bet on it early, bet on it heavy, and it paid. Crazy story written beatless in his phone on a bus from Atlanta back to Chicago exploded in 2018. Durk hopped on the remix. By 2019, Grandson Volume 1 was charting on the Billboard 200. By October 30th, 2020, Welcome to O-Block debuted at number 5. That project dropped 6 days before Von was killed. Durk was in Houston shooting a video when the news reached him.
One of my favorite rappers ever was King Von. You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We was shooting a video, I think.
He was one of the most talented guys on the planet.
And then Durk says the thing that cuts through all of it.
He had a whole image, you know what I'm saying, and he lived what he lived. What he rapped about, he lived, but he was good-hearted at the same time.
He's describing what separated Von from everybody. Not that he was violent, but that the violence and the artistry were moving in the same direction at the same time. And Von managed to turn that into something that could outlast the moment it came from. What Durk put out publicly after the news dropped was short. An Instagram post reading, "My twin gone. I love you, baby bro. D. Roy," a photo of Von, and a 3 the hard way collage. NLE Choa publicly said he personally urged Durk not to slide on anyone in retaliation. Durk went quiet. Everything that came after, the grave visits, the cleanup crews, the federal charges, was built on what was lost in that moment, on what Van's death actually meant to the people around him, and on a war that was never once going to pause and let anyone grieve in peace. The war behind the grave, the beef between the gangster disciples and the black disciples, is not internet beef. It's not a rap feud that got out of hand. It is a full-blown active streets-level war that has been running since 1974. And the grave disrespects at Burr Oak Cemetery are just the most recent, most visible chapter in something that was already decades old when Von was born. Here's where it starts. 1969, 2 dangerous crews link up. King David Barksdale's Black Disciples fold into a coalition with Larry Hoover's Supreme Gangsters to form the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. For a minute, they're unified. That unity dies with Barksdale in September 1974 when he passes from complications of an assassination attempt 6 years earlier. His loyalists splinter off and build the decentralized Black Disciples around his memory. Hoover, already locked up at that point, builds the hierarchical corporate-structured gangster disciples under Folk Nation. And from that split, a war over territory and drug money on Chicago's South Side, Englewood, Roseland, Woodlawn never fully stops. By 1991, a single killing triggers 200 murders in 4 years. The crack era pours gasoline on every single grievance that already existed between these sets. By the time King Von was old enough to navigate O'Block, all of that history was already in the ground beneath his feet. O'Block itself, centered at Parkway Gardens on the 6,400 block of South King Drive, gets its name from O.D. Perry, a BD member shot and killed in 2011 by Gakira Key Barnes, a teenage GD-affiliated shooter out of the STL EBT set who they called Lil Snoop. That one killing lit the modern O'Block vs. 051 war on fire in the form everyone alive today recognizes. 051 Young Money, a crew running out of around 51st Street and Indiana, carrying documented GD members alongside Mickey Cobras, became O'Block's primary op in the drill era. In Chicago street classification, 051 runs hard in the BDK lane, Black Disciple Killers, and it is 051 affiliates who are responsible for every documented grave disrespect in this script, no exceptions. The timeline from the mid-2010s onward reads like something that should have a prosecutor's binder attached to it. In 2012, BD rapper Lil Jojo got killed not long after dropping an anti-GD record. In 2014, Gakira Barnes, the shooter who put O.D. Perry in the ground and sparked the whole O'Block era, got killed in Woodlawn. Federal documents unsealed in 2021 named King Von as the shooter. He was never charged. In August 2020, FBG Duck, a Tuckville OGD-affiliated rapper who had made a whole career out of disrespecting O'Block's Dead on tracks like Dead B, got ambushed and killed on Chicago's Gold Coast. 6 OB Block-linked members were convicted in a 2024 federal rape show case tied to that murder. Federal court filings referenced a reported bounty that Vaughn had allegedly placed on Duck before his own death. 3 months after Duck was laid out, Vaughn got killed in Atlanta. This is the machinery that produces a moment where someone pulls up to a cemetery on a Tuesday afternoon with a camera and some nerve, stands on their op's grave and posts it for clout. Every single act of disrespect at Burr Oak Cemetery is a data point in a war that predates everyone currently waving a flag in it. The O'Block vs. 051 beef is not manufactured for content. It is a hyper-local block-by-block extension of a 50-year conflict, and it lives by one rule that has never changed. The beef does not die when the person does. What drill music and social media did was make it loud enough for the whole world to watch. Diss tracks now name real people who are actually dead. Grave visit videos accumulate millions of views. The psychological warfare hits different when it's broadcast globally. And the community monitoring Van's burial site exists precisely because that reach doesn't stay on someone's phone. It generates real-world responses, real-world danger, and real-world escalation. The two-grave setup, the concrete encasement, the cleanup crews, none of that is drama. That is a practical response to a threat that is simultaneously ideological and physical. What it cannot do is make the threat dead. And that is the full context you need before the specific incidents at Van's grave make complete sense. The bodies behind the music. Now that you know the war, you need to know the soldiers because the grave disrespects don't land the same way once you understand exactly who Van and Durk were in those streets before they were rappers. The ops pulling up to Burr Oak aren't just trolling a celebrity's burial site. They're pulling up on the grave of a man who by every credible account in court documents, police records, and unsealed federal filings had put in serious work in those same streets. And they know it. That's the whole point. Van's criminal history starts at 16. His first known arrest came around January 2011. Armed robbery and carjacking. Juvenile detention followed. He earned his GED locked up, got out, and was back in front of a judge almost immediately on gun charges. In and out of the system through 2013 on unlawful possession of a firearm charges, racking up a record before he could legally buy a drink. Then came the big one. On May 29, 2014, Vaughn, then 19, and an associate named Michael Big Mike Wade were accused of opening fire at a birthday party on Lazel Street in Englewood. Malcolm Stuckey, also 19, got shot in the head and died. 2 others were wounded. Van got arrested on July 24, 2014 and hit with 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. No bail. He sat in Cook County for 3.5 years waiting on that case to go to trial.
What's the story? What's your story?
My story, I just got to jail for just beat a body into attempt.
That's Van telling his own story. Totally unbothered. Totally matter-of fact.
So you was in jail for 2 murders?
Yeah, 1 murder and 2 attempts. I just beat.
How you beat that?
What you mean,
I mean, you didn't do it, clearly.
The case collapsed in December 2017 when Big Mike Wade, His co-defendant recanted his testimony. Wade himself got convicted of aggravated battery with a firearm and picked up 28 years. Vaughn walked out acquitted, not exonerated, not proven innocent in the way a press release would say it, acquitted, which in the language of Chicago streets means the jury couldn't get there. Not that the block forgot what they knew, but the Englewood party shooting was only one chapter of what Vaughn's alleged body count actually looked like behind the scenes. In April 2014, the same year as the Englewood shooting, Gakira Key Barnes was killed in Woodlawn. Barnes was 17, GD affiliated, and already feared on the street for a kill count that allegedly included O.D. Perry, the man O-Block is named after. Police initially questioned Vaughn as a person of interest. He gave them alibis, no charges were filed, and the case went cold publicly. It did not stay cold in the federal files. In 2021, unsealed Chicago Police Department documents surfaced in connection with the FBG Duck murder RICO case that named Vaughn as the person who stood over the wounded Barnes and fired multiple additional shots while her brother himself shot-watched. Prosecutors leaned on this in building the larger narrative of the O-Block vs. GD war. Vaughn was never charged. He was already dead by the time those documents became public. This is the background the ops are celebrating every time they pull up to Burr Oak, not the music, the history that predated the music. In 2023, filmmaker Trap Laura Ross dropped a documentary titled King Von Rap's First Serial Killer. Over 3 hours long, millions of views, built around the argument that Vaughn met the FBI's technical definition of a serial killer. 3 or more murders committed over time with a cooling-off period between each one, often driven by some form of psychological gratification. The documentary pointed to the pattern of alleged killings, Key Barnes, Malcolm Stuckey's case, the alleged bounty on FBG Duck, and several others circulating in street lore as evidence of a man who didn't just commit violence, but appeared based on his own tweets and social media activity to take satisfaction in it. Lil Durk didn't appreciate the framing.
So Lil Durk just sat down with DJ Akademiks for an off-the-record interview, and of course, your boy's name got brought up. Akademiks actually asked Lil Durk what he thought of these rumors that King Von is a serial killer.
That sets up what Durk actually said about the documentary and what it claimed about his twin.
Honestly, I ain't watched the documentary. I know it's cap.
But he didn't even watch it, so how are you gonna know it's all cap?
That last line, the interviewer pushing back, is worth sitting on for a second. Durk hadn't watched a 3-hour documentary about his own brother and was calling it capped on principle. Whether that was genuine loyalty, strategic deflection, or grief dressed up as dismissal is something only Durk knows. But the serial killer label stuck regardless, and Vaughn's ops embraced it enthusiastically because it gave their own long-standing fear of the man a publicly certified name. Here is the part that cuts even deeper. One person who had spent real time in the trenches with Vaughn, who had been around him in the community he came from, went on record saying they were not just unmoved by his death, they were relieved.
I was relieved for the community, man. Because he was over there torturing them guys, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It is what it is.
This is a person who knew Vaughn personally describing how the streets experienced him, not as a rapper, not as a celebrity, but as a threat in real time.
Some people need to be gone, bro. You know what I'm talking about? In order for to get better. And he one of them. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That quote from someone who was not Van's op, but not fully his ally either, tells you more about the weight Van carried in those streets than any platinum plaque does. And it tells you why the grave visits keep happening. Because for a certain segment of Chicago, Burr Oak is not just a burial site. It is confirmation. Durk's criminal history runs the same track. Gun charges, gang ties, and serious felony cases that either got dropped or never made it to conviction. He caught his first significant adult charge in October 2011. Multiple gun charges in Chicago pleaded down to aggravated unlawful use of a weapon served roughly 3 months before bond. In June 2013, police caught him throwing a loaded handgun into his car when they approached him in Englewood. He pleaded guilty to 2 felony gun charges and landed 18 months probation. In November 2014, he caught more gun felonies during a homicide investigation. Charges that lingered for years before being dropped in 2017. Then the 2019 Atlanta case he shared with Vaughn. 5 felonies, including criminal attempt to commit murder, aggravated assault, gang activity charges, and 2 separate firearm counts. He surrendered, posted a $300,000 bond, and spent years waiting on a resolution. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis dropped all charges in October 2022. Insufficient evidence, prosecutorial discretion. Vaughn was already dead by then. What is striking about the combined paper trail on both of them, Vaughn and Durk, is not just the length of it. It is what it reveals about the environment they were navigating. A world where violence in the rap industry is not a metaphor or a performance choice, but a documented, recurring, and in many cases fatal feature of daily life. Studies from the mid-2010s found that hip-hop artists face a homicide rate 5 to 32 times higher than musicians in any other genre, with victims averaging 25 to 30 years old. Von was 26. He fits that statistic exactly where Durk stands. Lil Durk's whole approach to people who disrespect King Von has always been about what it refuses to do, namely say anything in public. In a 2023 interview with DJ Akademiks before the federal arrest that would flip everything upside down in 2024, Durk got asked directly about the never-ending pressure from fans and ops to respond publicly to anybody using Van's death to come at him. The specific target in the conversation was 6i99 trying to push buttons, but the logic Durk laid out applies just as hard to anyone who has ever stood at that Burr Oak grave with a phone in their hand.
I was in a tough position with the 6ix9ine thing. 6ix9ine was somebody who, he showed me a lot of love, especially early on during his career.
The specific provocation is about 699, but pay attention to how Durk processes the broader dynamic. The way disrespect tied to Von always hits differently for him.
But I felt like with you and him, and especially Von passed away, it got personal.
He's not pretending it doesn't land. He's telling you it does. But what he does with that is where the whole thing gets interesting.
And I just remember even thinking, I'm like, I understand playing the media side and you're trying to be neutral. Like, if you said anything, I'm gonna post it.
Durk is describing how he sees the game behind every provocation. The way even expressing a neutral stance feeds the cycle, gives content to the OP, keeps the back and forth alive in spaces where neither party actually benefits. He refuses to play.
Even when people are they're disrespecting, that's like your bro. You know what I mean?
Akademiks pushes their disrespecting your brother. How does that not demand something from you out loud?
So but it's what I'm gonna do? You think I'm finna hop on there and tell you I'm finna kill you? You think I'm finna do an interview? When I catch,
he's being direct. The alternative to making noise publicly is not doing nothing. It's doing something that doesn't get announced first.
You already know that's happening. So it's I play my game. I just sit back, watch.
I play my game. That line is carrying an entirely different weight in 2025 and 2026 than it would have been if you heard it fresh in 2023. Because by the time the worst of the grave disrespects were being filmed and posted, Durk was already in federal custody. And the indictment against him suggests that whatever game he had been playing may have already made its move before anyone caught up to it. On October 24, 2024, U.S. Marshals arrested Durk near Miami International Airport, where prosecutors alleged he had booked international flights to Dubai to Italy in what the government characterized as a potential attempt to flee. He was charged under a federal superseding indictment out of the Central District of California. Conspiracy to commit murder for hire, resulting in death. The government's allegation that in retaliation for Van's death, Durk put a bounty on Quando Rondo's head, that members acting on those orders tracked Rondo to a Los Angeles gas station on August 19, 2022, fired at least 18 rounds into his vehicle, and caught his cousin Savalol P.A.B. Robinson instead. Robinson died at the scene. Rondo walked away unheard. Durk has pleaded not guilty. He says he didn't do it. The trial, delayed multiple times because of the sheer size of the case, is currently scheduled for August 2026. Life in prison is on the table if he gets convicted. His former attorney, Manny Aurora, who had helped Durk beat the 2019 Atlanta case, sat down after Van's death and talked about what it was like on the other side of that conversation.
It's like I'm so jaded now that it's just not unexpected. It's just like a matter of time is the way I look at it with these folks. I mean, you're rich, you're successful.
Aurora is talking about the exhaustion of watching people he represented build their way up out of nothing and still end up in the same place it always leads in this world.
Just put it behind you, for the love of God. But sometimes people just can't, and so I felt bad, talked to Durk about it and all that kind of stuff.
He talked to Durk about Vaughn being gone. And when he gets asked what Durk actually said, the answer is the most honest documented reaction anyone connected to Durk ever put on the record.
But
what did Durk say when you talked to him?
I mean, that's his good friend. I mean, he's hurt.
Not plotting, not scheming, hurt. That is the documented internal reaction from someone who sat across from Durk and asked him directly. And now, years down the line, the federal government is in court arguing that what came out of that hurt was a murder for hire plot stretching from Chicago to Los Angeles. Durk says that is not true. What is not in dispute is this. The ops who keep pulling up to Burr Oak Cemetery with their cameras are out here because they want a reaction. A tweet, a threat, a record, a news story. By staying quiet, by letting F handle the cleanup, and letting the community handle the commentary without any statement from him personally, Durk takes away the one thing they are actually after, the validation of a response. In a world where a 30-second YouTube short of someone standing on a dead man's grave can pull millions of views, the most devastating move available to the other side might be to give them absolutely nothing to work with. Durk sits in federal detention at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. The trial is months out. The grave is still being monitored. The story is still moving. And the man who pulled up a chair for Vaughn at the Breakfast Club table, who flew him to Atlanta the day he got out, who was in a Houston studio when the call came through, that man has not said a single public word about what keeps happening at that grave. Make of the silence what you will, but know what it's built on. Like this video. Don't forget to explore more similar content through the suggested cards on your